From the village to the city, confronting climate change by creating ecocities. There's something extraordinary happening in the world right now. All around the planet, it's as if a great awakening is underway, with people and communities taking positive steps to fix their worlds. Finally, there is agreement that global warming is leading to runaway climate change, which, perhaps, will lead to the extinction of our species and our home planet. A radical change is needed urgently to move from today's destructive system to something that sustains all of life. Thankfully, this change is already happening, but we need to make it bigger, quicker. Cities are ecosystems of people, nature, and infrastructure. They have been the places from which our modern cultures have grown from. They have always buzzed with ideas, experimentation, freedom, exchange. They have never stopped mutating, and since 2006, over half of our human families now live in one. But today, they are in dire need of a new and very different chapter in our unfolding urban story. Today's cities are one of the main causes of climate change, for a multitude of reasons. Our challenge is to fix them. A quick, radical transformation of our cities would be perhaps the biggest step our species could take in combating climate change, and thereby ensuring our family get to continue their adventure on this beautiful little pale blue dot. Fritjof Capra noted back in 2002 that the great challenge of the 21st century is in the creation of sustainable communities based on ecological literacy and the practice of eco-design. The vision of this thesis is firmly grounded in ecological literacy and seeks to build on the values and processes developed by many interrelated groups and movements over many years, such as GEN, the Global Eco-Village Network, Transition Towns, Gaia Education, and various urban permaculture initiatives, all who share the core principles of design inspired by nature, connection with nature, human health, joy and well-being, sustainability, carbon reduction, regenerative design, restoration of ecosystems, empowerment of citizens and communities, international solidarity and community resilience. Traditionally, these groups function at the small scale, villages and small towns, and many even as highly isolated, disconnected, self-organised, highly self-sufficient, intentional communities. But the keys to the urban transformation we are imagining for our cities lie in learning from these places. Our challenge is one of scaling up, moving from the micro to the macro, from the village to the city, from the eco-village to the eco-city. From whys to whats. What exactly is an eco-city? I don't claim to have a clearly formed view on what exactly constitutes one, but have spent many years carrying out architectural experiments with different communities exploring the question through practice. I'm interested in asking questions through ecological actions and inviting people to participate in the adventure. I believe that within an eco-city network, we will see a much more complex communication landscape. Part of this thesis' design research will examine best current practice and what urban fantasies are out there. What will our future cities look like, smell like, sound like, feel like, even taste like? Curitiba is still celebrated as one of the world's greenest or most sustainable cities, but is it really that much ahead of the rest? Today's analysis tools must be investigated, examining by what criteria cities' ecological performance is measured. How is this being quantified? Today, is Curitiba still the world's greenest city? Is it an eco-city? After whys and whats, I'm more interested in the hows. How do we make change? This is the area that interests me most and where I spent most of my time for nearly the last 2 decades. A lot of this work has been informal and did not lead to papers of academia certification as requested here in Brazil. Since 1996 I have been on this journey, living and working in many different countries, working with hugely diverse mixes of people on many different types of projects. For me, all architecture, as I see architecture. Unfortunately, little of the architectural world saw it as such. After 20 busy years, I feel it's time to try to take a moment to reflect on these years of eco-action and to try to make a coherent point from it all. For this reason, I'm applying now to do the Masters with Magi here in Curitiba, Brazil. I'm interested in how the normal man in the street like myself is able to easily connect with things that enable positive transformation. Processes that allow for a positive impact for him, his family, his community, his physical world, his economic opportunities, his sense of value, his sense of hope. I've had plenty of experience of being a newcomer or immigrant. I know what it feels like to arrive into a new world with nothing and try to create a world for yourself. I'm from the beautiful and magical island of Ireland. I have lived and worked at home, England, Spain, Germany, USA, and now Brazil. I've collaborated on different projects in Bosnia, Croatia, France, Italy, Denmark, India, and Peru. I have travelled over land and sea from Ireland to India. I have travelled around the Mediterranean to better understand the old world. I came to the new world by boat and have travelled many thousands of kilometres around Latin America, getting a deeper connection to the heart of La Pachamama and her diverse peoples. I see myself as a citizen of the world, as someone who has responsibilities to my home, and someone who is in a position to effect positive change. I have come to Latin America as I believe this is where much of the solutions to the world's problems will come from, and indeed are already coming from. I lived for 7 years in Barcelona, 2006 to 2013, and in 2008 I co-founded the local Transition Towns group. The culmination of my architectural ideas were published in the book The Self-Sufficient City, Envisaging the Habitat of the Future, featuring finalist work for the competition run by IAC, Institute of Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. The accompanying short video was shown in the CCCP. I worked with the cradle-to-cradle inspired Catalan eco-consultancy firm Eco-Intelligent Growth, AJ. We were the only group in Spain offering LEED certification, and we worked with a host of different architects both in and out of Spain on projects of varying scales. The highlight was working with William McDonough and his ideas of buildings as trees, cities as forests, for a new Barcelona tower. With AJ, I submitted towards a healthier, happier, eco-effective Barcelona, a permaculture-based urban development strategy to CADS, which are the Catalonia Advice Sustainability Board, as part of a white paper on sustainable development for Catalonia. I also lectured at Pompeu Fabra University about transitioning to sustainable communities. AJ also helped set up the first Global Eco Forum in the city in 2008. With the Transition Towns group, we helped develop the city's first community-driven ADAP, Energy Descent Action Plan, with our friends in Pep San Martin. I also worked as a tour guide for 3 years, sharing the magic of the city with people wanting to connect with the city. I created eco-specific and arts-related tours for those that wanted to connect deep. I spent much time assisting in eco-projects in the city, in other towns and in smaller communities. I lived for some time in Masfran, eco-community, while training as a permaculture designer. I was part of a food cooperative, and for many years got my weekly box of locally produced organic fruit and vegetables, and thereby helping local economy and our collective resilience. I also was very involved in the Spanish Revolution movement, the occupation of city squares throughout Spain to create an open citizen dialogue about both urban and national transformation. I was also part of the Irish football team, Soccer with Your Hands, in the city, and we won the Iberian Championship before leaving. In short, I was deeply connected to the movements and networks that I believe are the basic part of the solution I wish to explore. How do we get citizens participating in local initiatives that are part of the eco-city urban transformation? As an architectural student, I was the national coordinator of the EASA network, the European Architectural Student Assembly, for a number of years, and participated in 3 self-organised summer schools. Each occasion was using architecture to connect with communities, to share perspectives and stories, and together to build new futures. In 2002, we lived in and transformed the derelict army barracks in Viz, Croatia, after the tragic Balkan Wars. In 2003, we lived and built houses in a Danish eco-village, Freeland, and in 2004, we were part of the transformation of a giant factory, Le Condition Publique, in one of the most marginalised communities in France, Roubaix in Lille. It was with this great network that I first started work on the thesis proposal, Confronting Climate Change by Creating Ecocities. We did a project in the Bosnian city of Banja Luka, again still a community scarred by war. We set up the Ecocity group, carried out community workshops, made things, put on an art exhibition in the State Gallery, and I hope sparked the ideas in people that it made sense to transform cities in this way. Back at home in Dublin, Ireland, in 2005, I summed up my architectural, eco and social ideas in my architectural thesis, Catalyst at Botanic Spine, which promoted and explored the idea of Dublin as an eco-city. Through the idea of greening the city, connecting communities, I designed the Botanic Spine, a proposal for an orbital, 18-kilometre long eco-corridor for Dublin City, to act as an urban greenway and seaport, within this productive urban landscape. At the same time, I helped form Dublin Ecocity Group. We organised bike rides, planted urban fruit trees, and created a few community gardens along the corridor. We worked with marginalised communities, areas with high drug abuse, and the city's homeless. These projects were discussed in Irish media, and interest continues to grow today. With the support of ex-Dublin City Lord Mayor Andrew Montague, the City Council implemented 50% of the greenway along the canals and has plans for more. I have lived for a little more than 1.5 years in Curitiba now. I worked for a half a year in an organic store in the municipal market and a quarter year in a little health food store in Bethel. I am currently working with the organic producers of Rio Blanco do Sul and the Copa Soil Cooperative to develop means to supply the Curitiba region with local organic food, thereby increasing resilience and lowering our energy dependence and helping improve our local economies. I've also spent much time working in mutirons in the city, such as the cyclist Pocket Para and Parque Gum. I've been part of great projects in the favelas of Villa Torres in Curitiba and in Rocinha in Rio de Janeiro. I have been invited to speak and assist in Universidade Positiva and PUC, Schools of Architecture, and at the Communication Department of Federal University. I was also invited to the Escritório Verde in UFPR to give a talk about the transition movement. Currently, I am involved with the city climate movement and help set up Curitiba Pelo Clima. This weekend, we will launch a 2-week climate window in an attempt to identify local ecological groups and projects and facilitate more citizens' involvement with making the transformation of our city to an eco-city. As ever, work in progress.